I know how important planning is, but people, like, make sure to make room for creative decisions on set. Those are the most amazing things that can happen. Hi everyone and welcome to Wedio Academy. My name is Eypee Kaamiño. I'm a filmmaker who specializes in tourism videos and documentary work. But I've shot tons of music videos when I first started off to become a filmmaker. I'm sure I can help teach you a lot of my mistakes that I've done before so you won't make the same ones. So there are actually a lot of different types of music videos. You have music videos that focus on the visual aspect, like that are more artsy and colorful, but they don't really have a storyline in them. And then there are music videos that actually focus on a storyline. And then there's, of course, the performance videos where artists just play and sing and you can see them, perform in a studio or on a stage. And these are called like performance videos. I'm sure there are also other types of music videos out there, but let's focus on these three for now. Now let me talk about the pre-production for a moment. You do the script, you write out a storyboard, and normally you plan the locations ahead, you plan the actors, and you write down everything. And it's just like 90% of the whole project is usually pre-production, And after many years of working at an agency and working on numerous projects, I learned that going into detail in the pre-production is not always the best choice. Of course, you need to plan out the shoot, but just avoid going into deep detail, because on the day of the shoot, I think it's very important to let your creative mind work for you instead of, working by a script that you've prepared in pre-production. My favorite types of music videos are performance videos. Here the focus is on the artist and the artist has to perform in front of the camera, and you don't need to, plan any story, you don't have to hire any actors. You basically only have the performance of the artist, your own lighting and your camera movements. This type of music video is also very suitable for a one-man crew, and you don't have to worry about directing actors in front of the camera. So for the pre-production of this new video for ecotypes that I did, I basically got a mood board from the client, and it's really cool to see what's going on in their heads, what kind of colors they want to use, what kind of locations they look up to. And that gave me a very nice overview of what the whole idea of the music video should be. So we didn't really go into detail of the planning, but a mood board actually portrays just the general look and the feel, how contrasty, what locations you want to do. Mood boards are actually quite helpful. So location scouting can happen with an agent professionally, like someone who actually knows the region, who knows places. But in the professional world, those people usually cost money. In the more, indie or realistic world, you would ask a friend or someone who is actually from that city or from that area. And then you would try to make it work. When I do location scouting, I watch out for a lot of things. I watch out for the lighting, the natural lighting. I see where the windows are placed. I see maybe, is there maybe a hole in the roof where I can use, as a spotlight. And actually in one of my music videos, I used that hole in the roof where the sun shined through, and then I had a very nice cylinder spot on my talent, and I used that on the shooting day itself. And you cannot plan things like that. So to save time and to have enough time for actual shooting, I try to prevent bringing so much lighting equipment because it really slows us down. So what I try to do is I try to minimize my lighting equipment for more efficient shooting. I will have more time to set my talent next to a window, for example, or next to a light source. So I have more time for the actual creative process, which is more important. For my music video for Jay Abrego, for example, we had only artificial lighting. Because it was an attic, we didn't really have enough natural light, so I decided to form the artificial lights myself. In my West Philippine Sea music video, for example, we did not have a single artificial light. There, all that I used was natural lighting. And it's very important when you do the location scouting or on the shooting day itself to watch out for very nice highlights, you know, nice areas in the building or nice places where you think the light is very, very interesting. Now, let's talk about cameras. Me personally, I wouldn't give you any rules or anything you should do with your camera, because at the end of the day, you know, you can do whatever you want. It's a music video. It's supposed to be artistic. It's supposed to be, you know, creative. So basically, don't follow any rules. So I love using the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera just because it's small and compact. I rig it out and use Folkblender lenses. The reason why I use Folkblender lenses is because it kind of negates the negative parts of the small sensor, you know what I mean? Folkblenders have a very, very large aperture, so it lets in a lot of light, and that's kind of the downside of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. Because the sensor is small, it's really bad in low light and it's really hard to get that shallow depth of field. So that's why I decided to go with Folkblender Noctum lenses, which have an aperture of less than 1. So with these lenses, I get a very, very nice bokeh, very nice shallow depth of field, and the camera gets really, really good when I shoot in low light. So music videos are very artsy, which means it should look a little bit more interesting, you know, like play a little bit more with lighting, play a little bit more with colors, play a little bit more with the speed of your footage. So I usually always shoot in slow motion, which does not mean that you will actually see it in slow motion. I just shoot it in slow motion. That means in 50 frames per second or higher. So that way I can slow things down in post if I want to, but if I want to keep it normal speed, then I can just use it as a normal speed. Also, time ramping is much better in post-production if you've shot in 50 FPS or faster. And I usually shoot in a flat color profile so I can grade it much better in post-production. So in the shooting phase, there's actually a lot of improvisation going on. And it's very important to, you know, be creative, be awake, you know, have a healthy lifestyle, be fit so you can like carry all your stuff. You have to have a very like clear mind on the shooting day so you can work properly. I usually prefer shoots that are more run and gun and have less planning in it. I don't like working according to a shot list or a script. I usually have the shot list in my head because I'm also the one editing the video at the end. I kind of have everything in my head already prepared. But if you guys want to like script everything out, you can of course do it. I'm just someone who cannot draw that well, so that's why I keep my shot lists to myself, and I end up not drawing the shot list but actually like doing some notes for myself. Sometimes I keep a small note on my phone ready, things that I'm not supposed to forget about. And especially if we don't have a director on set, I would have to do that job as well. So one music video that is very important to me is called The West Philippine Sea, and I traveled all the way to the Philippines for this music video. It is a performance video, but also at the same time a tourism video to show the nice landscapes and the rich culture of the Philippines. So the approach that I went for this music video was a lot of the aesthetics. So I wanted to show nice churches, I wanted to show awesome like beaches and the sunset. A lot of like parts that I've learned through my tourism videos I put into this music video. And also the performance part of the people, I had them perform, you know, frontal into the camera. And Armand, who is the main singer of this song, I put him in front of a grand piano and played a little bit with the lighting. For this project, it was very, very important to stay flexible because we had a lot of shooting locations. We also didn't have a lot of budget. So it was very important to keep the crew as small as possible. In this case, I actually shot it alone, but I had a lot of help from local people. I had an assistant who held the lights and who held my camera backpack while I was shooting at the beach, and I couldn't keep an eye on my stuff, so that was a huge help. I would also have assistants who would tell the visitors of the church not to enter a certain region because we are shooting a music video. Even though I had all of these local assistants, it was very, very beneficial that I wasn't one-man crew. The actual pre-production that I had to do wasn't that much. Armand just asked some of his friends if they want to perform for his music video, but basically most of the movements, most of the camera movements and lighting was made on the spot on the shooting day. We actually had some scouting days too, so I had to look at the location, I had to have a feel of, you know, the depth that I have, the lighting, and also what kind of like ambient sounds we have. It's very important to do location scouting beforehand, which also like belongs to pre-production. So me personally, I leave a lot of room for my creative work on the shooting day itself, but I think it's very, very important to like do location scouting beforehand. So basically what I mean to say is put a lot of your thought and preparation into, you know, more important things than going into real detail of the storyline that you want to like perform, you know, like a lot of it you can always like improvise on the spot. All right, let's move on to post-production. When editing a music video, it is very important to match the whole mood and feel and the emotions of the audio. So if it's a more spheric and slow song, you might be better off using slow motion on your shots, like slow editing. And then if there's like if it's getting more exciting in the audio, you might also want to speed up the cuts. I mean, it's self-explanatory, right? Like you have to feel it, and then you kind of, I know I'm talking like a musician right now, but it's the truth. Like you just have to like listen to the song and then edit the way like you feel it. Like you cannot do a very fast edit when the song is actually a ballad. You know, it kind of doesn't go together. So people always ask me what editing software I use. I always say it doesn't matter. I started off with Adobe Premiere, now I switched to Final Cut for YouTube videos, and then if it becomes more artistic and more like cinematic, then I use DaVinci Resolve. But at the end of the day, it really does not matter what editing software you use. It just matters what product comes out of it, you know, or what software you're most comfortable with creating a certain video. Now, while we're here, I would like to give you some tips that I have learned during my career. If you want to create a hectic mood and, you know, like a little bit like shaky footage, then make sure to use tight lenses, because with tight lenses you can create a much more jerky feel. And with wide angle lenses, you can do more establishing shots, you can do gimbal shots, you can do like smooth motions, smooth like push in, push out motions. And that gives a sense of like overview and a little bit of a slow feel and a bit less hectic. Another very interesting tip I have for you guys for music videos is shooting in slow motion, but still having the mouth synchronized to the words of the audio. To achieve that effect, I filmed the talent singing the song twice the speed. So it's like really fast. But then if you slow it down, the movements are slow and epic, but the mouth is still synchronized with the audio. Try it out. I'm sure you'll have fun with that effect. A very interesting tip I have for you guys is when you see a source of light, the normal thing you would do is probably let the light shine on someone's face. Yes, you could do that, but it would look very, very like corporate, or it's like it's supposed to be that way, you know, like you're supposed to light the face. But what I usually do is I turn the talent around so that I use that source of light as a backlight. So you have kind of like a silhouette look, And you can usually, if it's the sun, for example, you can use it as a backlight, so it looks very, very epic, especially if you shoot it in slow motion. I use sources of light as a means of, you know, artistic measure, or you know, like using a source of light to hit the side of a face and the other side is like shadowy and then it's very contrasty. Or I use the light to hit the back of the talent like this right now what I have. So it just makes it more interesting, you know. And don't forget, music videos are videos where the music is in focus. The video supports the audio, not the other way around. I know how important planning is, but people, like, make sure to make room for creative decisions on set. Those are the most amazing things that can happen. You do not need a high budget to producing a music video. The idea is what counts. With very, very low budget, but with a very strong idea, you can already capture the interests of all your audience and make a really, really interesting video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, and I'll see you on the next one.